Welcome to episode 180 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar. He's here. How you doing, Warren?
I am here. Doing good. Happy almost Friday.
Happy almost Friday. We survived Thanksgiving, and it's...
yeah, I think we talked afterwards, right?
Yeah, we had...
the last show?
Yeah, we had the
last show was after Thanksgiving?
It was a Friday, yep. Friday afternoon, yep. With
okay, yep, okay.
So we had fun, but here comes some more fun here because returning guest, Mr. Guy Serle, is back. How you doing, Guy?
Doing well. This is like a reunion show.
It is.
It's like
the band is back together.
Back to the Future live on a Thursday.
Yoko,
never really broke up.
Go back to the closet.
I'm watching the Beatles thing.
Yep.
Guy you were talking about on your thing, and it is long. I made it through one. I'm gonna go through another.
Yeah, it's
the other two.
I haven't gotten the last two yet either. So
yeah, I got it.
I've gotten through half of the first episode.
Yeah, it's slow.
Yeah.
Basically, we begged my son to just stop because
well, it's good background stuff. Like if you're not doing it, don't watch it. Just have it on in the background, okay? Because you'll catch things here and there. That's why when you said the band's back together. It was George. George broke up the band.
Yeah, that's true.
Spoiler alert. It was George.
That is true. So,
and maybe Yoko because they didn't like her.
Yeah, because Yoko kept sitting in on the sessions. But anyway, that's another topic for another story.
Every time I saw Yoko on,
gosh, well, she was knitting at one point. She must have been bored out of her mind.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about iPhone here. We got a bunch of new stories this week, as well as beta. Actually, beta got released today as we record this. We'll be talking about that in just a moment.
A little bit late.
Apple TV, and Apple TV. We'll leave it at that. And we're going to continue on our continuing ways of gifts guides here. I've got some more gifts for this week. So, but let's jump right into the news for this week. This story is in Mac Rumors. iPhone 13 demands weakening ahead of holidays, Apple tells suppliers. Apple has informed some of its component suppliers that demand for the iPhone 13 models is slowing ahead of the holidays, reporting Bloomberg. Reporting of weakening demand comes as delivery estimates for the iPhone 13 Pro have started to improve, and with the devices be able to ship before Christmas. So yeah, I'm not surprised about this. Just with the restraints in the chips and all that kinds of other stuff, and Apple even said it during their last call for the quarterly results call. Yep. And thank you. Yeah. So that this is going to happen. So, but they're still going to say that they're going to meet, about 6 million iPhones. I'm sure they'll be fine. What do you think, Guy?
Yeah, well, my heart isn't bleeding quite yet.
No.
For Apple and their finances. The weird thing is, it doesn't matter what rumor it is that you're talking about or what Apple device it is you're talking about. You can always find a website somewhere that will have an opposite opinion to another website somewhere. And, is this something that happens every single year as it starts to come up? And maybe in a year like this, Apple is more along the lines of saying, oh, thank God we can slow down just a little bit and get some of our supply chain back in order. Because I think that's been the biggest constraint for most electronics manufacturers these days is just getting the components and getting things built.
Yeah, makes sense.
Never mind just shipping them.
Makes sense. But looks like supplies have, because I keep looking just out of curiosity, see what the delivery times are. And there's been there have been some models that have been available like next day. So obviously stock has improved. So any thoughts, Warren?
Well, last week they said the opposite, but didn't they say demand was stronger than ever last week, right after something? But
yeah, they did.
They did, right? Am I not imagining that?
No.
That's what they said. So, but I think I even said it last week too. Is the statement last week was Apple as a whole, whereas this is the iPhone line, and we actually discussed it because we were saying I think it was Brittany when we had this conversation. She said Apple has a lot of 80% of their sales are iPhones, I think is what she said. So, if they're having more demand, then it's probably the iPhone. I said, well, I'm not sure. I mean, the MacBooks are really making, they're really hot, and a lot of people are trying to get them too. And there's the AirPods and everything like that. So it looks like they're breaking it down, I guess is what they're doing. Last week they said the opposite, but now they're saying, well, we're doing pretty good, but maybe iPhone's not as good as they were doing.
Yep. But I think I'm like you said, Guy, I don't think I'm crying too much for Apple's doing okay. We're not worried.
Yeah, I think they'll get through.
They're not doomed like everybody says. So
doomed.
This is next story is in 9 to 5 Mac. Apple no longer signing 15.1 blocks downgrade to 15 from 15.1.1. Apple this past Tuesday stopped signing 15.1, which means that users that have updated their devices to 15.1.1 or the 15.2 beta, for that matter, can no longer downgrade to 15.1. It comes a month after they stopped signing 15.02, and this is pretty typical what they do with most of the older versions. They don't want people to be reverting back to much older builds. Once you go forward, you don't go back. You got a few days to think about it. But and Warren, have you ever done this much? I since you're always on beta. I mean, you obviously could go back to 15.1.1 if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, they start blocking versions that were older than current. So I think they started doing this because of jailbreakers, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think they were people were jailbreaking the phone at a certain amount, at a certain iOS level. So they started making it possible for people to downgrade after a jailbreak came out and they were on a new version. So I think that's where it started.
Yeah, makes sense. Have you ever downgraded before, Guy, on your devices?
Honestly, well, because I don't have an extra phone, so this my one iPhone is the only phone.
iPad, iPhone, any device.
And really, when it comes right down to it, if someone has already gone to the trouble of jailbreaking their Apple iOS or iPad device, then they can take it back down to whatever they want. If they've already gone to the trouble of doing that, then I'm sure they have, or most people would already have that still, squirreled away someplace in case whatever it was that they were using the device for breaks down. So
yeah, it won't let you do it. If you try to restore an older version, even if you have that IPSW label.
But if you've jailbroken it, you have a jailbroke version of iOS. So
true.
The only thing this does is stop people who just use the vanilla version of Apple's operating system. But if you've gone to the trouble to jailbreak, you already know what to do to downgrade it or update. Whatever it is
but that's what they're doing, because people would jailbreak it,
right?
And then people, it would say only for version 15.1.
It basically the jailbreak would screw it up,
right?
Yeah. They're like, I'm going to take it back to the last version that it worked good at,
right?
And
but then there's
like, oh no. Yeah.
No, you got all the kids out there saying, oh, somebody just jailbroke the phone, but my phone's newer. The iOS is newer than what they could do it on, so they try to downgrade it, and Apple says no.
Yeah.
Those damn kids.
The kids.
Damn kids with
God, I can't remember last time I jailbroke. That was like a million years ago. I'm glad I don't do it anymore.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah. Next story, 9 to 5 Mac here is App Store monopoly claim rejected by federal court. Reasoning is a strong win for Apple. Class action lawsuit that alleged that Apple had App Store monopoly has been rejected by a federal court judge in a 34-page ruling. Part of the ruling essentially said that the plaintiffs did a poor job in stating their case. Go figure. But another element potentially puts Apple in a strong position when it comes to defending other antitrust cases against the Apple App Store. Lawsuit was led,
at least in the U.S.
Yeah, this lawsuit was led by the developers of a coronavirus reporter whose app banned by Apple under rules which only allow COVID-19 related apps from official governmental health bodies. Okay, so disgruntled Apple app developer caused this lawsuit, I guess. What do you think? I just don't see the App Store being a monopoly, honestly.
No, and here's the it's like saying you've got a grocery store that sells giant brand groceries. And the guy over here at the Safeway is like, well, how come I can't sell giant brand stuff? It's like, shut up, get your own Safeway stuff and sell it there.
Yeah.
To declare the iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS app stores as being monopolies kind of defies reason, because if you want to sell something onto an Apple device, then that's the way you go, because that's where 99.9% of the people who use those devices want to go. All these people talking about side-loading apps, it's not the average Joe person in the street that's asking for this. This is developers, again, wanting to bypass Apple's rules. And this case right here blows my mind. It's like, well, let's see. Here's a developer who wants to put out some COVID information that is not verified by a government source or really any source beyond, the tinfoil hat crowd. Yeah. And it's surprise, it was worded in such a way that was so poor that a federal judge was like, no, we're not going to deal with whatever, crazy garbage that you want to put out there. So yeah, it's not a surprise. Apple, the App Store is not a monopoly. The only way you could even call it a monopoly is because it's the only store that you can buy something for an iOS device. Okay, well, if that's your big beef, then don't develop for it.
Right.
Just develop for Android. I don't really see what the big deal is here.
Yeah. What do you think, Warren?
Guy hit on the point I was going to make, which was, I'm sure this lawsuit kind of went that there was this guy who wrote a COVID app. Apple said we're only doing it from the government. And that's why he's saying, well, if I can't, if the Apple App Store says I can't, put it on their device, and there should be another store for me to put my stupid COVID app that probably,
Google Play.
Yeah.
Well, but they're going to claim that there's a lot more, iOS. There's a lot of iOS devices out there. But anyhow, the Apple's reasoning for not allowing this app is spot on. Exactly what Guy said. If you're going to allow that, or you can allow Let's Go Brandon COVID tracking app from. So that's the thing. You're gonna get false information. Yeah. So it's a good idea for them to kind of keep it. And it's they don't just do it that there's guidelines, and there's other guidelines too that you got to follow. So be it.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Speaking of the App Store, they had their top apps for 2021 here, and this is in Mac Rumors. Apple picks the 2021 App Store winners, highlighting the best apps of the year. They shared their list. So some of the apps here, of course, there's a lot of games that I probably would never play, but I said the Mac app game of the year was Craft. The Mac game of the year was Myst. Oh, those are Mac, but Apple TV app, Dazen, sports streaming. And then you have Apple TV game of the year, Space Marshals 3, the Apple Watch app of the year.
I'm sorry, that peaked at Space Marshals 2.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I guess. Apple Watch app of the year was Carrot Weather, and the Apple Arcade game of the year was Fantasian. They also, what's not mentioned here is what the top app again for iPad this year again was LumaFusion, which is an amazing video editing app on the iPad, which is pretty awesome. I'm surprised they don't mention that here in this article, but I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is mentioned in this article. Yeah, the Apple's iPad app of the year was LumaFusion. It's a very popular video editing app. It's one of the best. And then they did also say the multiplayer online battle arena game was League of Legends, Wild Rift, as well as that won the title of the iPhone Game of the Year for its online play, and Marvel Future Resolution was Apple's pick for the best iPad Game of the Year. So yeah, we got some interesting apps that are out there that they pick. Do you agree with any of these apps, or anything you've used to try at all on these?
I've used LumaFusion, but the rest of them, I mean, there's a couple of games that I play, but it's pretty much the same games all the time.
Yeah.
I honestly, because I'm now 61 years old, and it's really, really hard to segment my time away to just say, I'm going to sit here and learn how to play this game right here. And sure, when I was in my 20s, those are the kinds of things that I did, but I just don't have the time now, or the patience, or the manual dexterity to be able to learn, and especially with like iPhone and iPad games, where if you don't have a controller and you have to rely on the on-screen controllers, you're screwed, especially if it's a multiplayer game and you have to go out and play against these kids who have the manual dexterity of friggin' what's her name? The tennis girl.
Serena Williams.
Yeah.
Williams.
Those Williams girls. Yeah. And that's how fast these kids are. And there's the couple of times that I tried to play. Well, what was the one where you were getting killed in space? Can't even think of it now.
Space Invaders.
No, not Space Invaders. It was basically you had to figure out who the killer was among us.
Yeah. Among Us.
Among Us.
Yeah. I tried playing Among Us a couple times, and I would move like 10 feet. And it's like, you are dead. It's like, well, I just got started.
I started the game, and I yelled for my son. I'm like, what do I didn't even know where to start.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, forget it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. So, I just don't have the patience for them anymore. But of the games that I do play, none of them are here. None of them are listed. And Myst, I think that is an old game.
That's a Mac.
That goes back to like almost pre-Power PC.
Yeah,
I think they just
Mac.
ported it to something. I thought that's what they said.
Hey, any of these games you play, Warren, at all?
Not a single one, David.
Not me.
Not any of these. None of these games. None of these apps.
Carrot Weather I probably have used, but it's paid for now. I still like
Space Marshals. That looks kind of fun. I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. Space Marshals.
I'll wait to see what 2022 has in store.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. How about games for old people? You go left, you go right.
I was going to have a whole conversation with you.
That's all you got to do.
I was looking at my game library, and I have games that like Words with Friends.
Oh my God!
Just things you just got to move your finger a little bit.
Gin Rummy.
Oh yeah, that's on there too.
Yeah, that multiplayer solitaire game, that is a bitch. Yeah. I got to tell you, that's so hard. Those kids just killed me in that. Multiplayer solitaire. It's like, I don't know it's my turn, isn't it? It's my car. Not your car.
I think by definition,
get out of here with all this.
It's like having two Unos. You can't do it.
And kids,
there's no
on the other side.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my damn lawn.
Solitaire means just one person. You can't have multiple people.
No, multiplayer solid. See, this is $1 million idea.
No, that's an oxymoron. Is what it is.
Let's move on before we get more trouble here.
Ideas, people ignore me, and no $1 million from me.
All right, let's move on here. Another story in Mac rumors. There's a new iPhone SE reportedly on track to be released the first quarter of 2022. Apple plans on releasing a third generation iPhone SE in the first quarter of 2022, according to Taiwanese research firm Trendforce. It's if this time frame proves to be accurate, we can expect the device to be released by the end of March. They're saying I think the biggest thing is going to be a mid-range smartphone that will add 5G support, which is not surprising. They claim that it'll feature similar design to the current model, which is based on the iPhone 8, a 4.7-inch display with Touch ID, home button, and thicker bezels. But reportedly, it potentially could have the A15 chip. So I think it's going to be interesting to see. The SE is a popular phone because it's the least expensive of all the iPhones in the iPhone line. I know you had one at one point, Guy, and now you have the 13. And
I did.
You had both of them. You had the first SE.
You had your wife had the first SE, which you never would let go. And
yeah.
No, I didn't have the first one. I bought the second one because I was on an 8 Plus.
Oh, she was on the 5. She was on the 5.
she's still
is on the 5.
on a 5 Plus or 5, whatever
which is on like iOS 12.
Why didn't you give her the SE when you traded
Sure
in?
want it.
Like I didn't try. She can be very resistant to change.
But but this is good to see that they're going to continue to evolve this SE. It's a good entry level phone. It's not probably something I would buy because I like the high end 13, the Maxes.
I think it's time they drop the design.
Is it still going to have? Is it still going to have the home button?
That's what it says. Yeah, I mean, again, we've got to take advantage. This is
a lot of people I like the home button.
This is rumor. But Touch
it
ID
just looks at this point. It's getting dated.
Yeah.
There's only 2 devices left for the home button, and it's the SE and the iPad regular. So it's dated. It needs to go.
Yeah, but
not necessarily. There's a lot of people. Who like to have basically a big round button that you can hit to reset when things go bad.
Yep.
And that's basically what that button does. It's like, I don't know what's going on in this application. I want to get back to the main screen. Boop, and then you're on the main screen. So, I get the appeal. I resisted Face ID for a long time. I just didn't see the point of it. And now I have it and it works reasonably well, except when I want to buy something at the grocery store. It's like, oh crap, I still have my mask on. So then I still have to punch in my code and all the rest.
No.
I'm like such an old man tonight.
Yeah, the watch. Use the watch.
Use the watch.
All right.
Locked on
watch.
Last story. Then we go from a potentially new phone here to an old phone. The Mac rumors says Apple is adding iPhone 6 Plus to vintage products later this month. An internal memo was obtained by Mac rumors. Apple said it will be adding the iPhone 6 Plus to its vintage products list on December 31st, meaning that more than 5 years have passed since Apple distributed that product. It was for sale. Apple stores, Apple authorized resellers will continue to offer repairs for vintage products for up to 7 years, subject to parts. Well, that iPhone, which I did own at one point, was out on September of 2014. So we're talking about 7 years, and that's just like time has just flown by. That was a great.
Guy, why don't you show your wife this article?
Yeah,
and say
about getting an iPhone 6 Plus.
No, about see your phone. It's vintage. If it breaks, it's.
No, I think hers is obsolete.
Honestly, she doesn't care.
As long as it works.
All she wants is a phone that works. And every time I have updated her to something new, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Mac or an iPad or a phone, there's been something to complain about. And it's like some of these updates means that you can't do the things that you used to do, or you have to do them in a different way. And that's
tell her the one she has.
I always know is coming, and that I always don't want to have.
Tell her the one she has is known to spontaneously combust.
Yeah,
and
that'd be weird.
If it was gonna spontaneously combust, it would have done so with the Stephen King text messages in the past.
Well, that phone is on the obsolete. There's an obsolete list. That's on the obsolete list, not vintage. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's the news for this week. Let's talk about beta. iOS 15 and .2, iPad OS, and all others was released actually today as we record this, the 4th beta. It was 16 days. I was going to say that when I had the notes in this morning. That had been since the last beta. So they did release the developers version this morning, and then the public beta was available later on today as we record. Of course, the 15.2 is adding the app privacy report that was first highlighted back at DC, which allows you to see how often apps are accessing your sensitive info, granting to them through privacy permissions. So that was probably the big thing that stood out. Then the legacy context feature, where you can set up so if you pass away, the legacy context feature will allow that person to access your content. So a few things that have been changed. I think a lot more things. There was more bug releases. Have you noticed anything? I assume you installed it today, Warren?
No, nothing at all to notice.
Yeah, so I think they're pretty close to releasing this. I mean, I gotta imagine that it's got to be pretty soon here that this is going to go out. So we have iPad OS 15.2 beta 4, as well as you have Watch OS 8.3, the fourth beta. I don't think anything has changed really much on the watch either. I don't really even talk much about that. Same thing with TV OS. There's really it isn't much to say. It's just bug fixes is usually what they say. So, but yeah, relatively quiet in the beta world here. We'll be interesting to see maybe next week that this is released. You can only hope because this is 4 betas now. So that's a lot for just a dot up version here. So all right.
Luckily, there's nothing major in the update that I don't think people are dying to get their hands on at this point. So
yeah,
so they can wait.
Doesn't seem it. So, all right. Next topic: Apple TV. Well, you have three Apple TVs, right? Well, the first one, of course, is a device. We've known Apple TV to be a streaming box, I guess we could call it, for many, many years, going back to the old Apple TV in the big one wide that was about the size of a Mac Mini, that was real thin. I did own one of those.
Had a built-in hard drive,
and it became obsolete pretty quick, and it was not very fast.
It was a terrible design.
It was terrible design, and people always really loved to hack it. There was always the hacks that you could do to it. So,
and Apple usually encourages that kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Well, when this thing came out, I think they actually did.
Yeah. So the Apple TV has evolved. The second gen that came out, of course, still no App Store yet, but it had all the core apps, including YouTube and a lot of others. It worked really well. And in fact, it's that version and the third generation. Some people are still using them today as just being able to use them as AirPlay devices, where you can just share your iPhone, your iPad, and that does still work on those devices.
I have three laying around the house, but I can't find any of the remotes, so they're just unplugged. That's a problem.
So then they came out with the HD version. That was the Apple TV that came out for high definition televisions. That was a little bigger size, but that was the first start of the App Store for tvOS. Yeah. And it was kind of cool that you could have finally ordered. So you can download apps and whatever apps you wanted that were part of the App Store for tvOS. And a lot of apps were pretty parallel to what was on iOS. Not everything was, but I mean, obviously, most of the types of apps you probably would want on an Apple TV would be like streaming services. But there were games on. I remember that bowling game I had where you were going like flinging your arm with your remote to try to throw the ball, and
like the old Wii bowling.
Yeah, exactly. So then the 4K version came out, and that's those two versions are still being sold today. So it is a nice interface. I really like this. I'm a nut and have streaming devices of all kinds, including a TiVo stream and Google TV, and I got a Roku, and I like to look at the interfaces. Well, the reasoning why I do that is the fact I'm not spending $190 for a Apple TV all the time, where I can spend $30 on a Roku and $40 on a TiVo stream, or the fact I just picked up one of those Google TV ones. That just because I had to buy a doorbell, but it was only $40. I might as well buy that doorbell too. Yeah, I bought the wireless doorbell. Chromecast. I couldn't think of it. Chromecast with the Google TV and incorporated into it. So there's all those platforms I mentioned do have, which I'll lead into, is Apple TV again, the Apple TV streaming app that what I would call an aggregator app, which aggregates a lot of the streaming services within a single app. And it aggravates a lot of people sometimes. The fact that it does incorporate some, like I'll emphasize some streaming services that you can go to a single app, be able to see everything. Disney Plus is part of it, HBO Max, Showtime, a lot of those services are in there.
Disney Plus as well.
Disney Plus,
look at
yeah, like we were just talking about Paramount Plus. But I'm finding that you have to subscribe through the App Store because I subscribe to Paramount Plus standalone, and it will not incorporate it because you go to use it in the Apple TV app, and it will not recognize that you're a subscriber. So,
but that's not the way it is for all of them.
Not all of them. No. HBO. I'm like HBO Max.
I'm a Disney
and Disney Plus
subscriber.
I subscribe outside.
Disney Plus works just fine.
Is Paramount the one we just got for free for the year?
No.
What was the one that we just got?
Paramount is from CBS. They're the ones that made that brilliant decision.
CBS All Access used to be called
$5.99,
which is
for their streaming service and show you ads, or $10.99 without the ads.
What's the one we just got from T-Mobile to get for free for a year?
Oh man, I didn't do Paramount. I think they were offering free year of Paramount Plus, but I couldn't do it because I pay for the no commercial version. That's with commercials, so I didn't do it. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, Paramount Plus was free.
I think that's what I got a year for free.
Yeah,
that's what I got.
Agree.
The ad-based version or the one without ads, or do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's with ads, the free one. Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I can tell you I don't mind. I think I'm paying. I got a deal with Paramount Plus. It was $69 for the year, and it's commercial free. I'm absolutely loving Star Trek Discovery this season. I mean, I don't know about you, Di, but
I will say it's better.
It's much better. I mean, the last episode, no spoilers, but I was glued watching that last episode. It was pretty intense. I really enjoyed it. So like I said, Showtime stars.
There's less crying this year.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she's a captain. Michael Burnham is a captain. So you have all these other services like Epix and AMC Plus. Of course, Apple TV Plus is part of this as well, incorporated into it. Yeah. Hulu is part of it. Peacock is included. Pluto TV, the Prime Video, which surprisingly enough is part of it as well. And there are some.
But Netflix. Oh
no, Netflix won't do it. That was always a big thing. There are two cable TV services that are doing it, and that's Spectrum, which is on the West Coast, and then DirecTV Stream. It's like, okay, both. I wouldn't deal with either one of those services, so I haven't seen that yet. But of course,
it doesn't matter because this is a bit of a hijack, I guess. The days of people getting their television from cable services is almost over.
It's got to be.
So yeah. So
I like my cable.
Okay, well, you're going to be one of the few because most people are basically treating these people strictly as ISPs now, and they're getting their.
Well, it's not there yet. I would say
most of us tech people are doing that.
Right. That's you just hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I've tried.
Most other people are not.
I think Warren and I both tried to talk our wives into doing this, and they said, "No, I don't want to deal with it." I mean, I have Comcast; it works perfect. X1 is great. I know how to get to the channels. I don't want to go to YouTube TV, and I don't want to do Hulu, and I don't know how to do it.
So, Guy, your wife won't replace an 8-year-old phone.
Yeah, but no, she agreed to that.
She agreed
to letting you pull the cable out of the wall. Is she on that?
No, everything that was there is still there.
Yeah, but you got to.
We don't have the cable boxes.
But you got to see. That's the thing. Didn't you have to teach her how to get to everything? Yes.
No, because no. Because what she was mostly watching was stuff on Discovery or Smithsonian, or most of the channels that are free with ads that you can get through the Apple TV as a device. So
my wife, if I have to watch the Apple TV,
hold on one time.
Here's the difference, Warren. Here's the difference. Is if my wife, and I will not sit and watch this TV show, if my wife wants to watch episode after episode of Air Disasters, she can, because all of those episodes are there and available to watch. If you just have it through cable TV, and that's the only way you know how to watch it, then the only time you get to watch that show is when it's in rotation on that channel.
All right,
and once she got that, all of her objections to having to take an extra step or two to watch the programs that she likes to watch, and now she can just string them all together for as long as she wants. You can binge watch the hell out of them.
My wife my wife calls me over to switch the HDMI input to a different device. This is not going to go well if I have to teach her how to go through a different. I mean, and I've said this so many times, but they need to. All these streaming companies need to have a consortium of every representative getting together and creating something that's truly unified, and where all you have to do is turn on maybe whether you're Roku or Apple TV or something like that, and there's a big icon that says, watch everything. Yeah, watch TV, and it's not made by Apple, and it's not made by Hulu.
It won't happen.
No, it won't.
Here's the reason why it won't happen.
It should happen because all these companies would do better.
It may be, but it won't happen for one particular reason. That's licensing.
Right.
To be able to get the licensing for all of the content that's out there from all the different distributors. Look at all the trouble that Viacom had with the Weather Channel, for God's sake. And that's like almost every single year where some of these independent stations are going to the cable channels and big ones, CBS. ABC, NBC.
That would actually be
like in Chicago. That happened last year in Chicago.
WGN.
That would be the beauty of this.
You guys lost access.
Hang on.
No, but it doesn't matter because the licensing will prevent them from doing that.
Right.
And it's not just the licensing for the content in the United States. A lot of times it can be licensing for the content in individual cities with individual ISPs, and to be able to get through the virtual minefield of regulations and costs and just the sheer number of lawyers that you would have to put up against a wall and shoot.
But they're doing this for cable.
Get them to agree. They're not doing it with cable. What they're doing with cable is what they've basically done is they've gotten the cable companies to show their content for X number of dollars per user or X number of pennies per user. And that goes on in perpetuum until suddenly the Weather Channel or CBS in Chicago or CBS in Los Angeles or NBC in New York says, we've noticed that we get a lot of people watching our content through your cable service. So because we're bringing so many people in, you have to pay us more money. And then, of course, the cable company's like, what the hell are you talking about? You're getting paid to advertise. See, this was my basic argument against Paramount and CBS with the Paramount service or CBS All Access. What is the difference between how you were being paid before through local advertising or even streamed advertising through a national network as compared to what you're getting now, plus a little extra money from the cable services? And what it really comes down to is greed and these particular content providers believing that they have enough of an edge that they can hold their entire audience hostage if the cable companies don't give them more money. And what the Weather Channel has discovered is that most of the cable services are like, we can get weather from AccuService, or we can get weather from the NOAA. We don't have to go with the Weather Channel and listen to Jim Cantor go to every single freaking hurricane and other storm that's out there. We're okay without that. And so now the Weather Channel isn't on a lot of these services anymore. And
the whole point is
after that happened, and it's already starting to happen. All of these big services, CBS, NBC, ABC, just here in the States, Fox, they're all coming out with their own streaming apps because they see the future. And the future is not in local television stations spread out across the entire United States.
It's changed. But anyway,
it's going to be in a streaming service that basically says, here is all of our content. And once a week, we will come out with brand new TV shows that you can watch with or without ads, depending on how much you're willing to pay. and everything will be hunky-dory. And the local stations, other than showing news and Gilligan's Island reruns at 3:00, will basically be out of luck.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead, Warren.
I'll just make the quick point, and the quick point was until it's not as fragmented as it is, the streaming services, normal non-techies are going to avoid it like the plague, because it is just too much for them to.
I agree with you.
Have to go.
We both experience it.
Cable's not perfect either, but at least it's at this point channel based. All you have to do is know what channel you're going to, and even now you could just talk to the remote and tell it where you want.
Okay, boomer.
All right, let's. Yeah. All right, okay. Let's move on. Just in closing with the Apple TV app, the one thing Apple was smart about was the fact that it's being made available on most platforms. I mean, you're finding it on Roku, you're finding it on Google TV, you're finding it on any most of, not all, our smart TVs made in the last 3 or 4 years, 5 years. So having that aggregate, which also, of course, includes Apple TV Plus, which we'll talk about just a sec here, is going to be included. So Apple TV Plus. Apple obviously came out with this service. Has it been 2 years now, or has it been a year? I think it's been
at least 2 years.
It's getting close to 2 years. It's 2 years, yeah.
I think they're on their third year now.
Yeah, so it's
2 seasons of morning shows, so we know that.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. And there's 2 seasons of Ted Lasso. So as 2 big shows that we've talked about that started Apple TV Plus, but they've come up with a lot of great original content, a lot of great movies. I just watched that movie with Tom Hanks, Fitch, was really good. I enjoyed it. I know it had some slow moments, but I enjoyed it.
I'm just real fast. I liked it. My wife not so much, but
yeah,
it had a great story.
It did.
Basically, dogs are better than people. Is the
and apparently so are robots.
And robots too.
No. Dogs are better than people. But every dog should have their own personal robot to take care of them.
Yeah.
Is a lesson.
Yeah, how the hell did he make an AI bury? Never mind.
That's all right on there.
And he was surprised. And he was surprised when it started to work.
Yeah.
He's like,
wow. I certainly was surprised that it was even a concept within the movie.
Yeah. So you have a really good service in Apple TV Plus. I enjoy everything that's on there, and so Apple TV Plus is $4.99 a month now. But you are going to get 3 months for free if you buy a new device, which would be iPhone, iPad, pretty much any major device from Apple. So 3 months, not bad. I mean, we obviously got the first year free when we first signed up. We're all, I don't know if I think you are, Guy, maybe not. Warren and I are both in the Apple Bundle program, so it's all part of it. So we're not even worried about it. So, but bottom line is,
I'm in the highest tier. I'm in the highest tier of that.
The Apple One.
And I was talking to my son Peter, and he was like, "Well, I don't know if I said, Peter, I sent you an invitation.
Right,
free Apple TV,
family member.
I can give it to 5 people in my family. Right. Why didn't you grab the invitation?" He's like, "Oh, I didn't see it." It's like, okay,
too late now. It's all gone. It's gone. So
by the way, it's Finch, not Fitch.
I'm sorry, Finch. Right. Thank you.
It was bothering me.
So in closing, I think the biggest confusion I really think is Apple is calling them all the same thing, calling it Apple TV, Apple TV, Apple TV Plus. I think that is surprising. Being Apple, being a good marketing company, that they've done this for all these years, and you wonder why that it is still continued to be called that. So you look at Apple's website,
one of them is going to go away very soon.
You would think. So check them all out. I hope that was a good review for everybody in regards to that. So I think you will enjoy it. So I like Apple TV. I think that's my default platform to watch most of that content. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on. Last week we started gift guides. We're going to have some more gift picks this week because since Christmas is coming up soon here, and thought it'd be fun to give some more gifts. Last week I talked about a device that was out there. It's made by a company called Carlinkit. and it's a wireless CarPlay device. If you're watching on the stream here, this is the device right here. It's like the size a little bigger than a pack of gum here, very thin. It hooks up through USB. It's got a USB-C connector, and then USB-A goes into your car, and it basically just plugs right into your car's USB port, which is linked right to your radio that has CarPlay already built in. The cool thing is it becomes a wireless and Bluetooth device. So you connect to this device through the wireless and with your iPhone, and then it sees that you have it, and then it connects. I've been using this now a week. It was my gift pick last week, and now I have a week's worth of time using it, and I'm absolutely loving it. They have specific models that are for specific years. So my car was a 2018, so that's this model that I picked, and that's the link I have in the show notes for that. But compared to me plugging in wired like I was using just a standard lightning cable, which is actually the cable is already becoming frayed because it's in my console, and Guy being in my car, it's going to break that cord quick. So I put this inside the console. That's where the USB port is, and it's protected. But I'm telling you, as soon as I turn the car on, it sees this device, and it's thinking it's a CarPlay device, and then it comes up on a display, and then if you've already connected, it shows your phone, and then it connects. I mean, within probably 10 seconds. Then as soon as the radio finishes doing its thing, it just the CarPlay interface pops right up automatically. So it automatically sees it. I've had phone calls on it. No, everybody's telling me it sounds great. This is a wireless device. So. Getting to the interface, zippy, real fast. So I'm very impressed with this. When I bought it, it was $85. I just looked at today. They do have a $30 coupon, so it's about $100. But still, I mean, to have this wireless and not have to mess around with that cable, I think is a great choice. Get
in the car and go.
Get in the car and go, and this thing works really well. So. We did get some, so that's this device. We did get some listener feedback this last week. Listener Donna reached out, and she suggested, let me review what she said here. She's sharing a link. I've shared it in the show notes with another wireless CarPlay adapter that she uses, and she likes the style of it, and it seems to be the only one that I like this on the market. So I guess she's had some not so good success with some of these devices, but and she did do some research on them. And you can tighten the two small clips on the USBs for a tighter hold, because I don't have to worry about that so much because it's inside my console and I just plug this in. So her car might be a little different, but it was again another one of those devices that's under $100. And I appreciate you listening, Donna, and thanks for sharing. So there's another choice of a CarPlay for wireless device. So I'm pretty pleased with mine, so I'm going to stick with it. So I think it's really cool. So, all right, let's go and move on to we're going to continue on. I thought this would be fun for the next few weeks since Christmas is coming. We have some gift guide picks here, and Guy, of course, not surprising. A few microphones are in this catalog he's given us. But go ahead and you've got a couple of devices that you have. These are all, of course, going to be in the show notes. So first, go ahead and give us your gifts for this year.
Well, since you brought up microphones, let's start with that. As some people know, Dave collects streaming boxes. I seem to collect microphones. Yeah. So I have a ton of microphones, 10 of which I brought to Dave's house one day because I
go back to that show where you did live. You'll find out.
I don't even know what was going through my head at the time. Yeah. However, for people who want or need a really nice, easy to use microphone with maybe a few bells and whistles that you won't get from like a Blue or an ATR 7100, 2100, whatever the microphone a lot of people like to. Yeah, and that's not to say that those aren't good microphones. This one, however, it's the one I'm using tonight, which is the Elgato Wave 3. It's $150, and the microphone itself was designed by a real microphone company called Lewitt. So it is a very well-designed, well-balanced microphone. But what makes this different from all of the other microphones that are out there is the software that's included with it. The software is called the Wave Link. And not only does it kind of help you sculpt the sound of the microphone through your computer, it also allows you to take other programs that output sound, iTunes or Apple Music, Farrago. We're big fans of Farrago here. We use it with a lot of our podcasts. Google Chrome, Zoom. I'm using Zoom in this right now. It gives you options to adjust the inputs and outputs of all of these devices, whether it's for monitoring or whether it's what the person on the other end is going to hear. And it's just kind of amazing that Elgato was able to come up with something like this. But if you don't want to spend $149, because what the Wave 3 gives you is a few other push button options here directly on the microphone for adjusting volumes and levels on the fly. If you don't necessarily need to do that and you'll just do it in the Wave program and then walk away, there's the Wave 1, which is $99. So that's $50 less than the Wave 3. It's the same really, really nice microphone, and I would highly recommend it for anyone who is looking for a microphone.
Now, will this work with an iPad? I know you probably haven't tried it, but it's USB-C, so...
I haven't tried it yet. It's USB, so there's absolutely no reason why it wouldn't. I will check while Warren or you, whoever is coming up next, to see if the Wavelink software is available for iOS.
Okay. If you want to just quickly go through with one more of those picks that you have, and we'll go ahead and get to Warren, and I have a couple as well.
Okay. Well, one of the other picks I have here is also audio related. It's the Earfun Air Pro Bluetooth 5.2. So it's the latest standard for Bluetooth wireless earbuds for $86. If you don't want to spend the $120 to $250 for Apple's earbuds, those are certainly quality earbuds. The Earfuns have gotten some great reviews over the last year or two that they've been around, and they work pretty much the same way as anything that you'll get from Apple. So check those out. The Earfun Air Pro 2s, they're really, really nice.
Yeah, it looks like you got a $16 coupon too. It brings it down to about $78. Yeah, so probably less than that. But if I do my math right, 75. No, probably down to $69. Yeah. All right, great. Warren, you have a pop socket that you use, huh?
Yeah, I do. Both my wife got the same kind of thing for our phones, and we've been using it ever since. And that's not like me. I usually change things up, and I haven't. So I'm gonna think that we like this thing here, and I'll tell you what it is. So it's basically from PopSocket, and if you have a MagSafe compatible phone, which would be a 12 or 13, it is basically called the Mag Wallet. Is that what they call it? MagSafe Pop Wallet is what they call this. And what that is basically a MagSafe compatible backing that snaps onto your phone on the back. And then you have the pop socket as well, which is also removable like the others. You can change them out. And on top of that, you could have a place right here for a credit card or a card in there. And it's pretty strong. My wife actually has hers on a pop socket mount that clips onto the vent, and it goes onto the back of the pop socket, and the phone has not fallen off, and my wife drives like a mad woman, so that's good. And then I actually have in my car I have a MagSafe puck that I use to charge my phone. So the good thing about these two is they come off really quickly. So all I'll do in my car is I'll take off the MagSafe wallet, pop wallet, put my phone on the MagSafe to charge it, and then I actually have another magnet down below where I could just stick on the pop wallet just to keep it there, just so I know how to put it back on when I'm done. And so far really nice. And we were both overseas in London, and they had a nice London pop on there, so we got that for 99 pence. For some reason it was like a pound where everything else is like 10 pounds, so like, hey, we like London. And and I put the link in there, but I must have been Target a couple days ago, and they had like a whole slew of these different colors.
Yeah. It's gonna be always good.
Yeah, and they had a whole bunch of them, and it's also, I think they're on sale there too. I think they were like $25 each. So, it's if you have a MagSafe and you want the pop socket, this works well. And then it was actually, we were talking about Guy's wife not wanting to give up the phone. My wife didn't want to give up her X 10S. 10S. She didn't want to give up her 10S because she had a OtterBox with a pop socket in there, and the pop socket actually sank enough into the case where she was able to, use her car mount for it. And she's like, "I'm not getting a new phone unless I could get that case." And I panicked because I could not find. The 13 was so new that there was nothing out there. So I'm like, "All right, I'm going to see what else is out there." And the first one, Pop also has a version like this, but instead of a magnet, they have 2 clamps on the side, and it could clamp onto any phone. And it's the same version. It's the same kind of thing. But the magnet works better. So we sold her on that, and life is good.
Great. All right. I got a couple quick picks here. This stand here, I actually have one here. I'm showing it on camera. This is the new Laxi phone stand, height adjustable. So you do is pull this up. It goes up or down, and it holds pretty much any phone and any iPad. It works for all smartphones, 48 inches. I've had my iPhone on here, and it holds it pretty well. It's not bad at all. And the best part is this is only $8. And it's pretty solid. I mean, you can move it up or down depending on the height you want. Sits down pretty good. It's plastic, but works great. Thought this was a nice one. It's made by Nulaxi, as opposed to Galaxy. And it's on Amazon. So I got a link for that. And then the second one I have here is made by Joby, Joby, which is known for their flexible grips and stands. This is a grip tight point of view kit. It's an image stabilizer with a Bluetooth remote, and works with basically any smartphone. It's got a nice hand grip on it, and it's got an adjustable clip on the side here that just moves and opens up so it fits the phone. And it was really nice if you're doing a lot of photography and you want to have an easy grip to hold the phone as opposed to how we're normally used to holding the iPhone. And it's not bad, and it starts around $20 or about $20, and it's on Amazon as well. So my 2 quick picks here, and with that, I think that has brought us to a close for this week. And the time has just flown by like it always has, and we'll go ahead and wrap things up for this week. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments like Donna did, and questions and suggestions to our email address, which is at feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter at intouchwithios. We usually live stream the show on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is at youtube.com/DaveG65, where you can also watch past streams and listen to all the episodes. Visit our In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discuss are flipped and are there for you to be able to view for later review, instead of just our links on the show notes here. But you also can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, which includes Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. It's Guy Serle. It was great having you as always. Where can people?
It was fun.
Where can people find you?
Oh, so many different and odd places. You can find me over on the YouTubes. Just look up VertShark, and you can like, share, subscribe, do all those crazy things. You can email me, guy@mymac.com, or podcast@vertshark.com. Vertshark.com is the website that you can see all the audios and all the videos. And I am on Twitter. Shocker, I'm stunned. I am on Twitter at either MacParrot and or VertShark.
There you go. All right. Thanks for being here, Guy. And Warren, where can people find you?
I think I'm also on Twitter.
You are. You're never active.
I'm never active. I'm starting to get a little active on Instagram, so look for me there. WSCLAR Twitter, Back to the Future Facebook group book is where I hang out the most. Pretty fun stuff. We actually had an interesting conversation.
Hold on, face group book,
Facebook group. The books of face.
It was a face group. It was a face group book. It's a book I'm writing. It's a book I'm writing called Face Groups, and
okay, good.
I'll let you know how that goes. But yeah, interesting conversations. We had a little debate today about what Private Relay does. So some really cool things. With people who don't like to insult each other, which is great.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Appreciate you being here, Warren, and I appreciate everybody listening. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon.